Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video, I'm doing kind of a different video today. I wanted to talk about Pluto square to Pluto in transits. So this is my first transits description video describing an aspect. So transits are what is actually happening with the current planets applied to your own natal chart. So it tells a lot about themes that you're currently going through and outer life changes, inner life changes. So this is like the, futuristic side of astrology. So with transit Pluto squaring your natal Pluto, this is kind of a time of a crisis. The earliest it could happen in your life is about like your late 30s. So this transit could sometimes correspond with like midlife crisis energy, although people live, way older than that usually. But there's this sense that like the issues of your natal Pluto are coming to a head. And so the most important thing to look at when you're having Pluto transit, specifically Pluto square Pluto like this, it's funny, I actually am having the sextile right now. I've had the sextile the last couple of years, so that is a different aspect. Maybe I'll talk about that next. But so for this one, exactly this would be happening to the Pluto in Libra generation, whoever has their Pluto at 29 degrees of Libra, or what came right after 0 degrees or 1 degrees of Scorpio, when Pluto is going to move into Aquarius in just a two-day period here on Saturday. It's Thursday. So this transit, when it comes up, and this is a more longer term transit, it can last for like a couple years or so. So it's like a life cycle. It's definitely a phase. You want to look at your natal Pluto and the house that it's in, and the sign that it's in too, and really, study that, because this is the issue that is being brought up in sometimes kind of an abrupt and unwelcome way. So Pluto can represent changes that we don't choose, or we don't consciously choose. So when we're having transit Pluto square to Pluto, there could be some unwanted changes happening. On some level, it could even be that you're going through some death, like maybe you go through the loss of a parent or someone close, or you have to go through an ego death of some sort, where you have to literally die to the old self and be reborn to a new self. But because it's a square, it's the tense aspect, maybe you feel not ready for that, and it can be a more difficult time period to accept change. There's some periods of your life where you're like, woohoo, I'm ready to change. With Pluto square to Pluto, it's like you are forced to change, but it doesn't always feel welcome. But it can be a period of like profound soul growth and spiritual growth, and big changes in your life that are actually beneficial, as you are basically being forced. Like squares and transits are like constant tension, constant butting heads of these planets. So this transit can signify a major life change that maybe is unwanted, but is actually for your own good. And it's like, the way that I see it, it's like a maturation of your natal Pluto, where you're being faced with this issue that is shown by the sign and house of that Pluto, and you have to integrate it in a healthy way. It's like grow or suffer, basically. So it can be a time where people begin, if it's their first time going into something spiritual, it can be the time when they start, thinking about their purpose, or thinking about, what am I really here for, if they haven't already. Pluto square Pluto can kind of force that, to look at life from a more spiritual perspective, or, look at life from like lessons and growth perspective. Because there's this energy of Pluto that's like the transformer. So when you're going through all these unnecessary, or if they feel unnecessary transformations, and you're kind of being forced to change, that can promote a lot of growth, and that can really get people started on a spiritual path if they weren't already. So another manifestation of this transit could be power struggles with other people. So it's a really good time to stay true to you and, not let yourself be talked into or pushed into things that you don't feel like are really for you, because people can kind of seem pushy with you during this time. And I think the severity of like how difficult this transit is will really be a lot to do with how well you have integrated your natal Pluto, how much work you've done on yourself relevant to the house and the sign of Pluto in your natal chart. So for some people, this might just be a more intense time and not necessarily have all these negative implications, but for some people, it can signify like a major life crisis too. So you kind of just have to look at the natal placement of Pluto, and that's all that's being brought up. But if you've already dealt with a lot of it, it could be more pleasant. And the thing with squares in transit is that more happens sometimes than the easy aspects, because the easy aspects can be more internal and more just like a general feeling of like well-being, where the hard aspects, especially the square and the opposition and the conjunction, I guess, they really make stuff happen. Even though it's difficult, there tends to be more action. So expect action relevant to your natal Pluto at this time, and sending you hugs and love if you're going through this one right now. Like I said, Pluto 29 degree of Libra, 0 degree of Scorpio, as we have Pluto entering in Aquarius in a couple days. I got to do a video on that too. Yeah, it's a tough one, but definitely you could see some action and some forward motion in your life relevant to Pluto. So you have to really like meditate on your own birth chart, right? Like that is my top advice to you all, is like meditate on the placements in your birth chart. Allow them to speak to you in an intuitive way. So for this one, it's just everything relevant to your natal Pluto is being forcefully brought up. So yeah, I hope you like this video. I'd love to know your experience of this transit. How was it for you? Was it a huge crisis, or was it kind of okay? I'd love to hear it. I haven't had this one yet. I'm not at this place yet. I've just had Pluto sextile Pluto though. So yeah, we'll talk soon. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Bye.